1250, I'm over, I'm selling at 1250, I'll take 1500 rand. At 1250 rand, I'll use it, 1250 rand, that's nothing. At 1250 rand, it's going at 1250 rand, 1500 is bid. At 1500 rand, I'll take 1750, 1750, I'll take 1750, I'll wheel done at 1500 rand, going at 1500.
My name is Powell. I'm an auctioneer and appraiser. My company is Powell's Auctioneers and Valuation Advisory Services. I started in the auction industry many years ago, but to give you a brief background, I was living in the UK, in London, in the early 70s, and with great aspirations of becoming a professional footballer. I worked in a small town called Camden Town, next door to an auction mart, and the excitement of an auction sale just captivated me. Coming from South Africa, we outward and excited about people. An auction room was quite exciting to see the activity that went on. So I used to attend auctions from time to time just to get the idea of the activity. And one day I inadvertently put my hand up when the auctioneer offered a particular asset. And I bought this thing. By the time I put my hand down, I'd paid a lot more than I actually even thought of paying. And I was so nervous that it was like almost a week's wages. I gave the guy a deposit, and the next day he walked into the shop. I panicked a bit, and he said, "Come here, lad, do you want to sell that item?" It was a little inkwell, a Victorian inkwell. I said, he said, well, there's a guy that will give you £50. So I said, yes, sure. And I sold it, and he gave me the money, and I stood there for a while, quite bemused, and realized that I had made as much money as a week's wages, not knowing what I was doing at an auction sale. So immediately I thought, well, imagine if you knew what you were doing, you could do a lot better than that. I was inspired to start my own auction business simply because when I started at an auction house in Johannesburg, it was Aucor Auctioneers in 1972. It was a small business, and I was with them for about 12 or 15 years. And over that period of time, the auction industry evolved quite well, and the business, Aucor's business, expanded dramatically from a one-shop auction mart to a multinational auction profession. And after many years in the industry, it became quite corporate, which actually didn't suit me very well. And I decided in 1987 to go on my own. My favorite part about being an auctioneer is quite an interesting one, something that I profess to achieve, and that is I'm very happy when I make both buyer and seller equally unhappy. Then my job is done. Buyer thinks he paid too much, seller thinks he got too little, deal done. My mentors in the industry were definitely my bosses, the Winterstein brothers. There were two of them at the time that I joined Aucor Auctioneers. And a few years later, a third brother joined the company. And each one of them had specific skills, which I learned from each of them. One was an expert in jewelry, arts and antiques, and fine arts, etc. Another was a very well-versed person in machinery, earth-moving equipment, heavy commercial and industrial equipment. My superior, my boss, Eddie, was a master of all. He had a phenomenal way about him. He could walk into a textile business and give you the value. He could walk into a jewelry store and scan the value. He was phenomenal. And he oversaw all of us, and I'm very proud to say taught me a lot of what I know today. Initially, from the auction profession, I evolved into becoming more immersed in valuations. Valuations was a critical part of our business because in any distressed circumstance like an insolvency or a liquidation or a deceased estate, assets have to be valued formally. It's a statutory requirement. I got a very keen sense of wanting to know the value of a lot of everything, but I learned, and I still do, I learn every day. But that's what I was doing. I started to get involved in the valuation profession. I became what they call a sworn appraiser to the High Court, and I have been doing that quite professionally for many years. Wow, some of the challenges that I've faced in this profession are quite diverse. One of them was to value the most expensive piece of real estate in the world. It was a portion of the Grand Mosque in Mecca. It was quite daunting, but my colleague and I went over, we did it quite successfully, and we had to value it for the purpose of an auction rollout, and it was very involved. And it came to over $1 billion, that's with a B. Fortunately, to our credit, the auction lived up to expectation. That was one of the challenges. Another challenge was, I remember at Orco in 1976 or 77, there was a big departmental store called John Orr's that closed down, and this was 9 floors of department store fixtures, fittings, equipment, window dressings, etc. Eddie started in the basement, and I started on the roof, and we auctioned the whole day. Started at 9 in the morning, finished at 11:30 at night, no break. Only to have water and to go to the toilet once or twice. As far as the rest was concerned, we continued to do that auction right through the day and most of the night. It was about an 18-hour auction. That was a wonderful challenge, but we managed. And I just want to remind you that in those days, we weren't blessed with the technology that we have today. We didn't have computers and staff. We had to take the cash, balance the books, and make sure that all the figures balanced before we even went home. And that was about 2 o'clock in the morning. My speciality is also quite varied, but I have a great love for the arts and antiques. Fine art is a very big passion of mine. I also love auctioning big equipment, vehicles, property. Property is a very big passion of mine. And we do commercial, industrial, residential, even agricultural properties. The major focus of our company, our business, is based in the Western Cape, in Cape Town, where we have quite a substantive network of service providers, attorneys, executors, administrators of estates, government departments, and various high net worth individuals. However, if we are asked to expand and do evaluations or disposals in the rest of the company, we have a great network with fellow members of SIRE, people who I've known in the profession for a long time, and people that I would gladly partner on a JV position for the disposal and valuation of assets. Wow, since I've started, I've seen dramatic changes in the profession. We used to do everything manually. I was a lad when I started at Orco. I think I was 19 years old. We used to do everything physically and manually, from loading and offloading trucks with furniture and assets, cleaning, labeling, clerking, auctioning, selling, and for everything that we did in those days, we sold on a physical auction. And it was wonderful because we could look people in the eye, and it was a wonderful atmosphere. However, over the years, the auction profession has not only evolved, but it's changed its entire face through the modern technology. Online auctions have become the thing that has replaced traditional auctioneers. Actually, live auctioneers are almost redundant these days. Service providers still prefer going to auction with a live crowd. But generally today, the technology is amazing. And we have, in SIRE, have partnered auction program service providers that provide our members with a fabulous auction tool of being able to conduct online auctions in a very easy and user-friendly fashion. My biggest accomplishment to date probably is the valuation of that wonderful piece of property in Saudi Arabia, where I was really under the microscope at the time. That was pretty much a huge challenge and a big accomplishment. And also to say that over the years, I've managed and been blessed to be with wonderful people and have a wonderful network of relationships with people and members who we resonate with, because it's about resonating with the right people who share your values. So on that basis, I've been blessed and managed to differentiate between reality and impossibility. SIRE's message is very simple. I've been associated with SIRE for many years, and I've been the vice chair of the institution for the past 9 years. What we have done is we've become a professional body, which means that we're the voice of the industry. Our message is very clear. It's articulated in our tagline, and our tagline is promoting the auction industry by serving our clients, our members, and the stakeholders and the public alike.